Bernie Sanders, as everybody knows, was at the Walmart board of directors meeting yesterday. And before he even set foot in the building, if I understand, or maybe when he arrived, certainly before he spoke, the CEO of Walmart already endorsed a increase in the federal minimum wage. Now, of course, it wasn't, I don't think there was a dollar number assigned to it. It was a we should look at sort of thing. And of course, the CEO knows that with the Republicans controlling the Senate and Donald Trump in the White House, a move to help people live better is obviously not going to happen. But this is the power of Bernie Sanders, and this is the power of any frontline, top-level national politician who is willing to not only advocate important and great policies, but literally function as a labor and community organizer. It's an incredibly powerful thing. Could you imagine when this man is president? It's one thing to talk about bully pulpit power. This is literal organizing power. Here he is after coming out of the shareholder meeting, and he is going to explain to this reporter, I believe his name is Ryan Nobles, that the Walton family has still not heard the message.
Do you feel that the Walmart CEO got your message today?
No, I don't. I think if he got the message, what he would say is that we are going to do what many of our competitors are doing, what Amazon has already done, what Costco has done, what Target is moving toward, and raise that minimum wage to $15 an hour. Look, this is not a radical idea. You got the wealthiest family in our country worth $175 billion. Surely they can afford to pay their employees a living wage.
Now, he did say that they do believe the federal minimum wage
well,
should
that's
be
fine.
raised.
We are working on it. I led the effort in the Senate to raise the federal minimum wage to $15 an hour. We got strong Republican opposition there. In the House, I hope they will do it. But with Republicans controlling the Senate, there is no guarantee we will succeed. What we need is Walmart, the largest private sector employer in this country, to take a bold step forward and say that all of their employees should live with dignity.
And how would you respond to some of the things they've said they've done for their employees? You think it's enough? I mean,
no, it is not enough. Look, I'm not here to criticize everything that they have done. All that I'm saying is that if you work 40 hours a week in the United States, especially in a company owned by the wealthiest family in America, a company which has apparently enough resources to pay its CEO over $20 million a year in compensation, 1,000 times more than what the average worker makes. If you can do all of that, you can pay your workers a living.
There's no doubt about that. I just want to really emphasize the nothing radical about $15 minimum wage. Okay, so let's take this in a couple of different steps. A broader argument is an institution like Walmart should be broken up, decentralized, that even in a much better economy and society, there's certain forms of frictionless production in a place like Amazon, which are fundamentally incompatible with ecological sustainability and humane worker practices, even in a much more democratized environment. So one is break up these companies, democratize these companies, have democracy at the workplace, as Professor Richard Wolff talks about. That's the long-term goal. I would say the short-term goal, the next horizon to push, and one way is breaking this up geographically, because $15 an hour is not going to get you where you need to be in the Bay Area or New York City or Seattle or Chicago. But the other way, frankly, and, again, you can always have caveats carved out and subsidies. In fact, Walmart can pay the subsidies in taxes that subsidize the bodega that literally can't afford to pay somebody $15 an hour. So these are all solvable. And the question of how to solve them is always about taking resources that are concentrated up here and breaking them up and bringing them down so they flow out. The answer is actually always quite simple. But I would say that, if you are a Target, an Amazon, a Walmart, any of these major monopolistic tendency conglomerates, we should set a baseline that you pay your workers $35 an hour, period. Whether you're in the middle of the Ozarks or whether you're in the center of Manhattan, you have to pay what would translate to some form of a legitimate, at least lower middle class wage, period.
Yeah, and if there are places like New York City where unions are stronger and can organize for more than that,
absolutely,
pay people more than that in New York City. But you're right, the floor should be like At least $30 an hour.
At least 30, 35 bucks an hour, no doubt, for any company like that with that type of profits. And speaking of, what Walmart has done, and Bernie politely saying, obviously not remotely enough, let's go to sound number 13, where a worker at this same rally, she's going to explain her experience as a human being working for this company.
A week in my shoes, taking care of my 4 children alone, and tell me that you can work for your crap money. Worrying if I'm going to be able to take my kids to the doctor if they need to, because I don't have the money to fix my car. They've never lived in our shoes. They don't know what we're going through. And this is America. What is wrong with us? We're supposed to take care of our people, and we're not. And these companies make all this money, and we're struggling. Why? We don't have to struggle. That's why we have people like Senator Sanders on our side, because he believes that too.
And really just my final question, looking around, you are not alone today. I know it's a tough question. How is it to know that you have others who are here also in support of everything that's going on?
It's amazing because I have people nationwide that are my family now.
Yeah. Anything else you want to say?
Thank you, Bernie! Thank you, Bernie!
Such a pleasure
Thank
to
you.
meet you.
Of course.
That's organizing. That's solidarity. That's, I believe, Cornel West. He says that justice is love in public.
Oh,
That's it.
that touched my cold communist heart.
That's the reason you have a communist heart.
Indeed.
So let's
My warm communist
your
heart.
warm communist heart. And there's nothing wrong with having a heart. In fact, my heart doesn't care about your libertarian nonsense corporate cuck ideology. We're going to take a brief break, and we will be back with Brian Mayer of